This is episode 13 of the Asking You Shall Receive podcast. This afternoon, we're joined by Mr. Mo, a fellow options trader and also a leader in helping other individuals reach their financial goals and their life goals. Honestly, since I've interacted with him, I love the way he carries himself. I love his mission of looking to bring value to others and help them achieve their goals as well. So, Mo, thank you for coming on. Please feel free to introduce yourself, let people know where they can find you, and let's have a great conversation.
First of all, thank you so much, Michael, for all the kind words. So my name's Mo. As Michael mentioned, I'm a full-time trader and I do real estate investing too. I've been doing options for roughly 3.5 years, and before that, I was into stocks. So been doing this for the last 6 years. Started off getting in basically because I wanted to earn income, but I didn't want to put in too much money. I kind of had a start a business around COVID, and because of COVID, I had to shut it down. And after that, I used to spend a lot of time on learning, how can I make money with my time rather than investment, because I didn't have a lot of investment because I lost a lot of money during COVID. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people listening to this probably feel the same way. And I ran into an ad where someone made $1,000 with like $200 trading options. And even though I was trading stocks for a while, I've never heard of options or even like the idea of making 500%, because when I used to trade stocks as a day trader, I'd be playing with five to $10,000 and roughly making $200 to $300 a day. So I'm like, what is this? Is this a scam, or is this like, there's a lot of scam, but is this something that is a one-off? So got into it and did really well at first, then lost a lot of money, blew a couple accounts, and learned the hard way that the way options is marketed, it's you're destined to fail, because in your head you're thinking fast money and now,
Mm.
right? It's not like there's no emphasis on learning. You'll never see an ad for option or marketing for option that says, learn the skill. It's more so 500% return, come join, or my member made 50,000. That's sort of why I think most people have a bad taste about options too, which I did too. But short story, I became an admin for one of the largest group back then, and they had about 10,000 members. And I learned a lot being an admin, because if you didn't know anything, you had to find out answers. Then went from one group to another, realizing that a lot of what this is a subscription model where you're not really learning anything. You're being handed call outs, and you kind of have to manage your own risk. So what I noticed was that a lot of people were into this because they didn't know anything better. Other people were there for gambling, and then you had the third group that was generally interested, but information wasn't being given to them. And every time they asked for, like, hey, how did you do this, it would be like, oh no, it's our secret sauce, a proprietary system, like just BS to kind of like make it seem like you're above them. And so that's when I kind of did my own thing. And my goal and mission has always been to have a very, very small group. I know this makes no sense, but the goal has been I have a cap at 50, it's invite only, and I do one on one. And so I want to see through your success from start to finish, rather than just open the group to everyone where I
Mm.
can't control who's coming in. So if anyone wants to come in, they have to do a one-on-one eval with me. And if I don't think I can be a good coach to them, or if they don't think I could be a good coach to them, then we just kind of end our meeting there and move on. Because I promise you, I have a background in HR, and what human psychology tells me is the kind of group you have is as important as the kind of leader you have. If you have a bunch of gamblers in a Discord, just like this earning play, that earning trade, any new person that comes in that has zero clue, they're going to think that's the reality. That's how you trade. That then becomes their benchmark for what options trading is. So I've handpicked people that come in, and I've had two occasions where I had to actually kick people out, refund their money, and say, I don't think this is the right fit. But we've seen a lot of people that lost a lot of money, took a loan from the market or from the bank, and they want to just copy paste my signal and make 10, 20x. And that's sort of the mindset. that's where I'm like, okay, this is not what you want to do. And you're probably looking for someone else because like any kind of investment, Michael, like real estate, anything, if you don't put in your time and your conviction in, you're not going to get there. And if you do get there by accident, you're going to give it all back because you don't know how you made it. Sorry for the long intro, but that's kind of how I got into it.
The key part that kind of sticks out had a lot to do with your own personal journey, your own kind of, grinding through getting to where you want to be yourself, to where you're able to now teach others. So, I mean, before options, like what was life for you before this whole journey into options and everything?
So I have a degree in human resources and I've done sales all my life, indoor, outbound, customer service, retail, all of that. And then from there, I kind of finished my degree, got into a very good corporation with full benefits and everything, and making six figures way past COVID. And it was going awesome until one day I realized that I can't really work for anyone. And I've said that in other interviews too. And people say it kind of sounds stupid that you just walk away with a 100K job. I promise you, there's a lot of people and it's happened to them and it's just they kind of ignore it. It's that feeling where it's not about money anymore because the money is great. It's not about the people you work with. People are great, but you can do more and you're just not happy with what you're doing. So my wife was expecting and I was kind of on a parental leave for 3 months. And a lot of time when you're not doing anything, that's when you have the best thoughts. That's when you realize and self-reflect the most. So for the longest time, it's just in a race because sales is like hit this target, then hit this target, then you're competing. So those 3 months, I sat down and I'm like, what am I really achieving? So I used to make 40, 50, 60, 70, 80K. I used to get increments every 6 months, whatever. And what I would do is upgrade my lifestyle and then upgrade more, and my desires kept getting bigger and I kept working harder to a point of burnout. So when I had those 3 months, I just emailed my manager and said, hey, I don't think it'll work for me and I'm gonna just resign. And I never went back. And from there I looked into opening a business. And for me, because I had limited funds, because saving wasn't something that I ever thought of, because a lot of what the corporate environment is more about how the perception you set for yourself. So expensive suits, expensive restaurants, just eating out, and that's sort of how you kind of get noticed by other people. That's the perception, especially when you're working in downtown. Like I live in Canada, so we were in Vancouver, but for people in states, sort of like the LA downtown vibe, where everything's flashy, but deep down, most people are living paycheck to paycheck. So my goal was to kind of go to my home country, which is India, and set up a business, an immigration business, but first open a language school. So I did all that and it worked perfect. I learned how to do system management with my HR degree and working corporate. So I had no problem setting up a business, setting up a system. And I came back and I was making decent, like I was making what I made at my job, but I was only working 5 hours a week. But then when COVID hit, I had to shut off the office because I couldn't pay 10 people without any revenues for like more than 6 months. So after 6 months, I'm like, okay, I need to cut this. So that's sort of how I gained different skills without realizing that it will be one day used in options, because part of what I learned was human psychology. Then in sales, it's also about customer psychology. Then in human resources, you learn systems. Like how do you reward a certain behavior? How do you not punish, but how do you take stuff away when you don't get the desired behavior? So I kind of started doing that for myself, like setting rules for myself when I was trading. So if I blow up an account, deep dive, what did I do wrong? Like do paperwork like how people in HR do. So I call that journaling, or they call it journaling. And all the skills that I took from every other job that I did, applied it into trading. And believe it or not, a lot of people promise that you're going to be a successful trader in a month. It could take years, if not anything, like minimum 1 year for you to realize what you're doing and why you're doing it, why you're taking certain trades and what your style is. Most people for the first 6 months are boom and burst traders. So they're just making big, losing big. So if that outcome of that is some profit, that doesn't make them a successful trader. So a lot of people don't realize that. It's because you can't market that. If you really think about it, if you market, hey man, this is going to be hard, you're going to have to put in a lot of hours and you're going to blow up accounts, you're going to get anxiety, maybe have sleepless night, come join my group. No one's going to join it. So people kind of twist it the other way.
That point right there, especially at the end, is so many people want to either start a side hustle or become the entrepreneur they're dreaming of, the big time trader that they think they can be. But again, like you said, many don't look into the process. A lot of
Yeah.
people want the end results, they want the profits, they want the passive income, they want the time freedom. But at the same time, just as yourself, you honestly went through a journey of more personal reflection and the psychological side that's honestly more important than anything. Even myself, I've been trading since about 2019. Honestly realized, especially in the past year and a half, like there's only so much technical analysis you can learn. And once you have that honed down, it really becomes a battle with yourself and being able to recognize and spot certain beliefs, certain emotions that you're having, and starting to dig underneath those and see the reasonings behind it. And those things right there are kind of what make the more monumental changes than kind of finding, the newest indicator or the newest way to make a quick flip.
Absolutely. There's people that know a lot more than me, and they've been trading for like years, like 10, 20 years, and they make less than me. And then there's people that know like basic support resistance and they make shit ton more than me. Technical knowledge or analysis is the least part of the trading journey. Like you mentioned, a lot of it is how you get in your own way when you're trading. And that's something that, like, believe it or not, I actually brought in a therapist in my mentorship, and we used to do therapy sessions and we would just
Wow.
talk about trauma with money. Because look, at the end of the day, if I ask most people, go do paper trading. For those people that don't know paper trading, you're trading with fake money. Most people, I'd say all of them would kill it. If they had the basic technical, they'd kill it. But the moment we get into real trading, they struggle. Why is that? Because they have an emotional relationship with money, and you have to disconnect yourself completely. And a lot of people, I'd say majority of people, especially people of color, have seen scarcity in money and they haven't given the knowledge on how to grow money. Most of us were taught you put in hours and you get money in return. None of us were taught that you can make money off money, you can make money off knowledge or selling services or a million other ways. So what a lot of people do is their idea to make more money is to work more hours. And when they start doing that in trading, that's called over trading, where you're just like, oh, I made $400 today. You know what? I'm gonna trade more because I'm winning. And then they give it back and then they like start dwelling and punishing themselves because they can't forgive themselves. I had a
Hmm.
guy who lost 70K in that GME AMC thing. And the
Yikes.
guy was, when I say lost, he didn't lose his money. He put in 7K, was up 70K or something. And then he calls me, I was at the gym. He's like, Mo, what are you doing? I'm like, I sold. I can't give you financial advice, but I sold and so did most of the people. He said, I'm gonna hold. Next day, it was option, so he canceled after hour. It went from 70K to 13K profit. So he lost about whatever
Hmm.
67K in or 57K in profits. He traded with me a month or two after that, then he just quit because nothing else could match that rush. And I think at some point he just couldn't forgive himself. And every time he looked at that option screen, it reminded him of the mistake he made, which could have set him apart like in his life. And not that he needed money, he was like one of the senior person in Google. But that's what I think a lot of people struggle with. It's psychology, but it's emotions that they don't know what they are. Like, it's hard to describe, but you're absolutely correct. Technical analysis is the least of their problem. There's so much other stuff that most people don't understand that's impacting their trading.
And this is exactly why I'm so happy to have you on, because if we were to go on Instagram right now and just type in options or just type in the word trading, you're pretty much going to be hearing the exact opposite of what we're
Yep.
talking about. we're going to be hearing, make this quick play, do this quick call, and you'll be able to see massive results. When at the end of the day, the real game-changing results are exactly like you said. And I'm still on the personal journey myself. My upbringing, it's pretty much based in where you have your parents that tell you, money comes in lack. There's a lack of money. So you need to treat it scarcely, i.e., you need to save your pennies. The common phrases you hear in the American community, save your dollars for a rainy day. When you do start to go into that entrepreneurship journey, you're realizing this isn't about the time input as much anymore. It's really about the value and the skill acquisition at the same time. And taking that time, like you're saying, psychologically, even with the therapist, to be able to realize, is my connection to money one that's positive or negative? So when these circumstances do come up while I'm trading, I'm not all of a sudden just acting out of an emotion I've had from the childhood based on this definition or that definition of what I have on certain things. I've seen it myself, like certain people only think they can make this amount of profit if they work this amount of hours.
Yeah.
And it's like they have that correlation to time requiring, your income. Whereas in trading, if you all of a sudden just start and it's your first month and you hit a trade, you make 3 grand in 10 minutes, that 3 grand is really not going to last very long, especially if you have that mindset of having time attached to income result and having your money outlook attached to lack as well. So really for survival and longevity in this business, rather than just making that quick buck, it really takes a lot of work on the inside and also being able to, honestly, I would say, see your reflection of yourself in the charts.
Yeah.
One other thing I did want to ask, we just talked about you having a 6-figure career. And from the outside looking in, most normal people would say, are you crazy? You have kids on the way, you have a family to support, you have a good job that's paying you and what you need to be paid, to be a provider and things like that. What has, becoming a father and a parent, like, how has that, like, kind of shaped your journey? Has it made things tougher? Has it been a blessing at the same time? Like, how has that journey been as well?
I think a lot of it, like I was reading something, and this is like I used to read a lot around that 3 month, and that sort of started changing my mindset because the kind of mentors I have at a job are people that are working a job. So they don't really have a different perspective than what you do when you read a book and you listen to Tony Robbins, sorry, or Gary Vee or a couple of other, and that's where I started changing my mindset. And about becoming a father, I think a lot of it is how you perceive what's happening. And so for me, it was a blessing. A lot of people would take that as pressure. And I get it. It's very logical to be like, okay, now you have an extra person that you're responsible for, and you're making a very irresponsible decision of just quitting. I see that, and it's very logical. But what I realize is until you take a leap of faith in yourself, no one else will. Leaving the job was hard, but I know the amount of experience I have. I could go to any sales job and make 6 figures ever. Even today, and I say that to everyone, even if I lose everything today, trading, Discord, everything, real estate, I can always go back and work for someone and make 6 figures selling. Because selling is, I think, one of the most underappreciated skill. A lot of people think they know how to sell, but like deep down, they're just pushing stuff to people. Real selling is building relationships and actually giving things to people that they need. But yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I learned is a lot of what happens to you isn't important. What's important to you is how you see that impact of it. So, when you don't have money, a lot of people say, why is it happening to me? Instead, if you really, and this sounds cheesy and cringy, I get that. You have to think, well, if it's happening to me, there must be a reason. And for this thought process to occur, you need to have some sort of faith in life. And I don't mean like believe in God or anything, but just have faith core belief in your heart that you'll be fine, and that's
Good point. Good point. Most people really have trouble kind of getting out of that logical mindset, like we were saying. I mean, did you have any difficulties, or was this just like an easy transition for you? I know you have a lot of background studying this mental psychology, so I'm sure that transition's much easier for you. But especially like with your coaching and you have these one-on-one consultations, can you almost kind of easily spot the issues that some individuals might come across when they're saying, hey, I want to learn options from you. I want this to become something stable to where I can provide an additional income for myself and maybe my family as well. And kind of through that conversation, are you almost able to just pick up and see, oh, this might be a mental hiccup for him. This might be a mental
yeah.
hiccup for her.
Yeah, so part of like what I learned in human resources is when you're teaching, because you do training program, you need to incorporate all kind of learning styles. You can't just be like, here's a visual presentation, because then you have someone who learns from doing it, right? And they don't understand anything. So one of the things I learned with trading is the two kind of personalities that mostly come to learn options are drivers and analytical people.
Hmm.
Analytical people are usually very smart people. They'll pick up on the technical stuff so fast. They'll be like done in a month, where it might take driver 3 months. But the biggest issue with someone who's analytical is they have a hard time making a decision and executing, because they're thinking of way too much. These are the people usually they'll have 10 indicators on their chart, and they want to put one more, and every time they're wrong, they're like, let me go learn more. You got to learn less, because you're looking at too much. It's like asking 10 people for one advice, and everyone gives you 10 different advice, and now you're confused. So with them, my level of communication, I over clarify with them, because you need to build trust with them, because
Hmm.
a lot of them is doubting themselves. So you have to make sure you build trust so they actually can trust themselves in a way. And with drivers, you need to keep instilling, hey, you can't follow your gut. You can't just go do stuff. You gotta go. So it's like doing one-on-ones with someone who's a driver versus who's technical and analytical is completely different. And I keep that in the back of my mind. I don't go, hey, Michael, you're analytical. This is going to be hard for you. So we're going to work. No, I don't say that. There's ways and there's languages that you have to talk, which is like it has to relate to them. And that's why I see, like, when I see people using big jargon words or saying some fancy stuff just so they could look smart, it intimidates a lot of people and just sets them thinking in their head that they're not made for it because they don't understand the stuff.
Now, with your own self, I mean, doing options is pretty tough. Many people kind of look at it from the outside in and they see all these things, the theta, this, that, and the third, and they're like, I don't even know where to start. With your own journey, did you kind of just go about just failing forward, or did you kind of have any setbacks and say, this might not be for me, and then you just had such a passion for it, you kept going for it? How was that journey?
So I think what with one of the things with me has been is, this is what I learned in corporate, that if you can't explain something to someone in simple terms, it shows your lack of understanding. And this is what one of the CEOs in a company that I worked with, he said, if you can't break down the KPIs, key performance indicator, to a 9-year old, it just shows your lack of understanding. So that's one of the things that I realized that I need to do when I got in teaching. So if I trade options, and if my cousin, wife, nephew, anyone who doesn't know anything, if I can't explain it to them in 5 minutes, I don't think I understand it clearly. The Greeks, the options, the Greeks that you talk about, I'm doing an options trading seminar right now. I spent a total of 15 minutes explaining Greeks. It shouldn't take longer than that. If it's taking you longer than that, then there's an issue in terms of lack of understanding on your part. Because we're not doing a diploma in options trading. We're not getting a certificate. This is not school. It needs to be practical. You learn something, you should be able to apply it in an hour. That's how fast it should be. If it's not, then either you're teaching too much or you're overcomplicating things. So that's kind of how I do it. In terms of failing, man, even when I quit my job, I always had second thoughts. Did not really completely trust myself. I would always be like, oh, like looking for jobs. And I'd like catch myself. I'm like, yo, what are you just quit a job? Why are you looking for jobs? Like this would happen. Then I would like almost go for interviews. Then like, no, you're not. And I did that once. Applied for a job, did 4 interviews, got the job, didn't go on the first day of training, quit. And I'm like, yo, like you need to stop because you're doing something that's so dangerous that no one around you has done, and all your friends are the same people. They're working and they're happy because people love groups of people doing the exact same thing because you feel like you're safe. So I'm like, all of a sudden I'm doing this, and then the same thing happens in trading, man. Once a year, and I promise you probably happens more sometime, once a year I get that feeling that I can't trade anymore and I should
Mm.
quit. Like at least once a year, might happen more sometimes. And that's because not only that I'm trading for myself, there's people that depend on my knowledge. So if I slip up or if I do something that's not like consistent to what I usually do, people, believe it or not, will follow and lose money, even though you tell people do your own due diligence, manage your risk. So that's a lot of pressure. As I'm getting more and more experience, I tend to not take any. And that I'm gone to a point where this week I don't understand the market. And I told them in my Discord, I'm like, this is not my strength. I don't understand this. I'm going cash. And 2 years ago, I wouldn't. I'd start forcing trades. So I
Mm.
don't need to like I don't need anything. I'm at that point. I don't need anything like monetary, not because I've made a lot of money. I just understand my purpose a lot more clearer. Like that's what it is. So if I lost it all, like I mentioned before, I'm not really worried. I know how far I've come and I know how to get there again if that was to happen. That's provided me a lot of clarity. But trading tells you a lot about who you are as a person. So a lot of my pitfall and opportunities as a person will reflect when I'm trading. So I keep watching them. They get better, but we're humans and you have to repair within before it starts reflecting outside. So if someone, and I'll give you my own example, I'm the kind of guy that used to go to the gym for 5, 6 years and it would look the same because, I wouldn't clean up my diet, or when I would get to a point where I'm getting just in shape, I'd start having a setback. And so I would start doing that in trading. I'd grow an account from 500 to 10 grand and then blow it up. And then
Mm.
so I'm like, why am I self sabotaging? So I had to fix my limiting beliefs and look at how I see money. Like you said, in your family, there's always lack of money, right? Sometimes, you hear your parents say stuff like, oh, money is the root of all evil. If someone has too much money, they've done something bad. Too much money brings bad health. Like there's so much stuff. And don't want to offend people, but it's usually from people who don't have money. People who have money don't say things like that. And people who have money aren't always happy, but they'd still always choose money over anything else because everything in terms of emotions, it's something that's on them. You'd rather be rich and angry than, poor and angry. And that's pretty much everyone that's going to tell you the same thing. Sorry, I go on rants because I just want to say so much.
Yeah, man, no worries. That's really big though. And even myself, pretty much in trading, I've honestly realized you can do so well. Like even you, for example, you've brought an account from 500, to 10,000. But they usually say in trading, you pretty much max out at the level of what you feel you're worth. So your level of self valuation is pretty much going to be that point where you kind of hit the roof. And from there, it's really kind of looking in and saying, what is it that I'm telling myself? I'm either not worth more than this, or what is it from the past that I'm holding on to that's making me feel I'm not deserving of this? And then it's like you said, that confidence. And that's a great example, like you said, going out on a limb and leaving your job, but you kind of still had that feeling of going back to, what you knew best and working, having that job in place. And I mean, I give you credit for working through that because most people probably would have stopped like you did and just accept the interview, accept the job, and go back to how things were. But for you to push through that does take a lot more grit.
Yeah, man. Usually, just when you're about to give up, right around the corner is where your goals are. And I've seen that so many times. Seen that in trading. Just I was like, okay, this isn't working out for me. And it wasn't the money part ever. It was the comparison part. This is where a lot of people just screw themselves over. I had an amazing day, $500. Then Michael goes on Twitter and says he made 50K. And I think I'm smarter than Michael. So now I'm just pissed and I'm not grateful for my own 500. And I'm like pissed how there he made 50K. So I start sizing big. And this happens in life too. You have a nice car, then your neighbor gets something nice and you think you're better than your neighbor. And your wife makes a comment or your friends do, they like, let me go get the same car or something better. This is like, I'm telling you, trading and everything in life, we just make it complicated. If we don't understand something in trading, we don't have to trade that day. Most people will, especially that day, why doesn't it make sense? They'll try making sense of it and just start pushing trades for no goddamn reason, blow their account, and then say, oh, I need to learn a new indicator because this indicator doesn't work. It's not the indicator. You're the reason why it's not working.
Precisely. I do want to touch on one other thing too. Many people hear trading and they kind of automatically go to, oh, you're going to be from 9 to 5 just like your job. The desk time is honestly getting maximized, where honestly I've realized myself it's honestly the complete opposite. You're pretty much doing more work not actively trading than anything else. Your active trading is probably your least amount of time compared to the inner work, the journaling, the review. So kind of touch on your process. Are you at the desk for long hours of time? Do you have like an off-desk routine? Do you journal as well? How do you kind of go about that?
So I'll tell you about today's routine. Market opened at 6:30. I'm in PST. I'm usually up around 5:30. I don't like gap up or gap downs. That means market's made a big move. It's going to consolidate or there's three ways it can go. So at 6:30 the market opened for me. At 6:40 I'm like I don't like the market. I think I'm done for the day. Then I come back at 9:30. I had an alert that went off for a trade. I came in. I work from home, so this is my setup. And I put in a trade for 15 minutes. I watched a couple of things. I left. This week I haven't done much. I maybe on in terms of on desk, I put in maybe 2 hours max. Most of my time in trading is spent on Saturdays and Sunday. That's when the markets close, all the noise is gone. I put my alerts. I don't have to worry about, and on weekdays I just execute. Like I'm not the kind of guy, if I see news that Microsoft launched something, go buy calls because it's gonna go up and down. I don't do that. I'm the kind of guy, I'm looking for something that's bottomed out and I go calls with a month out. That's sort of what I do. I take trades that no one really wants at that at Ivy's low, or if I see a big flow coming in for something, I'll get in. So I have a very different style now, and my clientele, I've been telling people that if you're trying to like day trade for pennies with $500, you shouldn't join me. I'm looking for realtors, mortgage brokers, accountant, lawyers, doctor. I just had a dentist join me. These are the people that don't want stress. They don't want anxiety. They want to press a button and the contract's a month or 2 or 3 months out, and they're not like. And I want to point this out. A lot of people think, yo, your contract's 2 months out. I'm not going to make any money. No, last week I had a Brazilian ticker, PAGS, for a month and a half out. We made 100% in an hour. These are small caps name that I'm finding for cheap. When they go, they go. And you can leave runners. If they're going to get squeezed later, you'll be fine. So I don't want to do Tesla weekly and put in like a big amount and every green candle I'm happy, every red candle I'm stressing. I won't survive long term doing that. That's what I've realized by myself. I shouldn't say other people, that's just my style. That's why I look for people with the same style. Like I'm very specific on the members I want now. Like if you're trading with $500 and you want to make $500 every single day, I'm not the right person for you. But if you have 2, 3, 4, 5K and you're looking to slowly grow your account, slowly, I mean like 100%, like not like 5% at the end of the year, you would just put in SPX. Options is big return. That's why we do it. But my style isn't 1,000%. That's not what I go forever. If that happens off luck, it happens. I'm not shooting for it.
That's something I've seen a lot of traders and even myself really realizing that less is better. And it's not really an easy transition. Even myself, especially in the past year and a half or 2 years, my main issue was just taking too many trades. Like yourself, once you kind of know what your system is and you have your selectivity, you have your rules, you kind of have your grading system in place of what you're looking for, and you have the trust to stick to it over a long term, all you really need to do from there is cut out the noise. And I know it's even tougher in options because there's the earning calls every day. There's people that want to make meme plays. There's so much more noise in the options market and the stock market compared to Forex, where it's kind of just people, you can either gamble on the news or you can actually have a system in place and let it play out long term. And, I want to ask you as well, being able to cut out the noise the way you do and being so specific on saying, I know this is my plan, I know this is my style, I know this is my edge, anything aside from that, I'm not here to entertain it. How does that work for you, and kind of how do you teach the ones you mentor how to kind of have that same mindset as well?
So I'll give you a quick example of what happened with me. In 2020, I got an Amazon trade. I got it for $300. It went to 1,000. I took profit. That same trade went from 300 to 30K. So it went 10,000%. Then I'm like, you know what? Amazon comes down. I'm doing this again. So Amazon drops and they had earning a month out. So I get Amazon 4,000 calls. I paid $780 for it. That trade went to 25K, from $800 to 25K. I was trading with friends, about 5 of us. I had the smallest account and I had about 10 contracts. Other people had multiple. When it was at 25K, we were not even thinking. We're thinking once this gets to 80K, we're taking profit. How dumb does that sound now? But that's what our thought process was. That thing went from sorry, I didn't have 10 contracts. I had 4 contracts. I still remember it. Like that was probably the worst day of my life. It was at 25K and my wife came in and she goes, how's your day going? I'm like, look, I'm up 40K because I had other stuff too. I'm up 40K, which like in Canadian dollars, roughly like 55 after taxes. That's not bad. Like for someone who worked a job, like
Yeah,
that's a
that's
big
someone's yearly
payout, right?
salary.
Yeah, I'm looking like what Lamborghini I'm gonna buy because I'm gonna have these days every single day. And then she goes, drops my kid to daycare, comes back, and I'm down 30K. So
Wow.
the market that day went from tech, money was leaving from tech into rotation into banks. You won't believe it went from 25 to 20, 15, 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I sold them at $2,500. And that was the day I was like, it took me 2 months after that to get out of that. Everything I did reminded me of how dumb I was making that decision. And that when those things need to happen, I'm not saying to have everyone, but they need to happen. Something drastic needs to happen for you to change something drastically in you. If nothing happens, I keep winning, I'm not going to change. So
Mm.
that changed me. Now, when it comes to my members, they know this because that's my expectation. What I'm saying on this is what I say on Instagram. If I see someone who's taken their account from 300 to 10K in my Discord, I don't really promote it because I don't want them to think that's what we do and come in. That's a
Mm-hmm.
one-off,
Mm-hmm.
right? And someone did that, and I'm like, I don't want to promote it. So that's one way of doing it. So setting expectations for myself, I just remind myself of the time when I didn't have any rules, what happened to me, and that feeling like us as humans, we're very good at thinking back and bringing that pain. Not so much when it comes of the happiness, but I can relive that pain any day when I have like that mindset. If I am gonna do something stupid, I do it 1% of my account, like 200, 500, 1,000, depending. And I tell them, like, some of my messages in the Discord literally start with, this is probably going to go zero. I am playing this earning. This is what I'm doing. One contract, whatever. But it starts with, this is going to go zero.
Mm.
And the way I'm different than most people is I stress more on risk management than profit. So when we enter a trade, we don't talk about how much we're going to make if the trade works. We talk about how much we'll lose if the trade doesn't work. My focus is always on losses because when they happen, you accepted them, you knew they were going to happen. There's no change in your reaction. Versus this is going to go 1,000% and it doesn't, and it gives you 100% and you're now choked. And so I think a lot of people that don't have gratitude in the current situation they are never move forward because the vibe they give does not attract people that are at a higher vibration. So it's so important, whatever you do in your life, even volunteer work, if it has to be, you need to be grateful. By volunteer work, I don't mean like working for NGO. I mean there's a lot of new people starting businesses. They'll do collaborations with people, and then they'll be salty, be like, I could have charged this much for this, but you know what? This guy's being like that kind of vibe. The other person feels it too, and then they don't ever want to work with you.
Mm. That's pretty much like the gist of it there for me. And this is something I'm even working on now is reminding myself for each entry, you know, most people don't want to do this, but every trade you take, you're fully accountable and responsible for it. So many times, and I'm even guilty of it myself in the past, so many times you rush into an entry because all you're doing is looking at the upside. Oh, what could possibly go wrong? I'm looking for trades that are going 3R, 4R, 5R. Why not? And they don't even check to see, what the potential is on drawdown or what I'm even risking on my account. But when you kind of flip that switch and you say, okay, I am risking this much of my account. Pretty much as I press this button, I need to be okay with it going exactly to that stop loss, right to my stop loss or right to wherever that monetary amount, it could be $500. Before I press that button to either buy or sell, I need to be fully accountable and responsible for that monetary loss.
Yeah.
And before you do that, I've honestly realized it helps you with the trade management as well, more than anything. So I really think having that proper risk management allows for less of the emotional issues to kind of come about when you're actually actively in the trade at the same time.
I agree with you. Managing expectations is key. I'll give you a quick example. I had a new guy start 3 months ago. He's from Europe and options trading, very green. And the first month, he had a couple of successful trades. The second month, he messages me on a Friday and he goes, Mo, if these trades work, I'm going to be easily able to double my account at the end of the week. And I replied, what if these trades go to zero? Are you going to be able to trade another day? And then
Mm.
he went quiet. So he had China trades. So he had Baba and something else. China went down that week. I didn't mean it for mean like that way. I don't want to take L's on my trade either. He's in the trades I'm in, but Baba actually went down. And after just finding out what other trades he was in Baba and other China trades. So he was over leveraged in the same name, pretty much. Because if China went down, Baba and other name, so his account went down by 50%, the entire account, right?
Mm.
So I worked with him on changing his thought process, and I got a message from him last week. By the way, I 6x'd my account in the month of July. I posted on Instagram. From where he came from to that is massive. The only thing he changed, he didn't get a new indicator, he didn't get better plays. He just looks at the downside before he looks at the upside. That's it. That's a small thing, but it's hard to do.
Mm. With as much as we're talking about in trading and things like that, what are kind of your non-negotiable routines, habits, and disciplines off of the desk? Like, do you do a morning routine? Are you kind of working out, reading, making sure you're getting time outside? Do you have like a set of non-negotiables that you do almost each day that don't even have to do with trading, but just help for your overall performance and being the best version of yourself?
Great question. One of the things my mentor told me was, and this was recent, they said if you want to get better at trading, get a hobby. Because you're so fixated on options, looking at it all the time. So, one of the things I started doing was I started working out. I usually go to the gym after market closes. So, for me, it's 1 o'clock. It's not bad. But now I go in the middle of the market around lunch break. So, that's 9 o'clock when the market never goes on lunch, but that's usually when there's slow time. That's actually boosted my performance. I don't know by percent, but it has, because I get to leave and come and look at things from a fresh perspective. Apart from non-negotiable is I cut down my drinking by a whole lot. Like, I mean, like, drinking every weekend to now drinking once 4 or 5 months if there's like an event, a family, just to socialize. The third one, that's big one, is regardless of if it's a weekday or a weekend, I sleep at the same time and I wake up at the same time. And like, basically sleep health, I've been taking it like a notch higher, and that's been helping with my trading.
Nice. One other thing I do want to ask too is, with everything that you're doing, it's great to see you're helping many individuals not only change their mindset, but also change the potential that they probably didn't even think they could reach in their own lives, whether it be financially and just hitting these goals that I'm sure many of your clients and students have probably reached a lot sooner, rather if they kind of went about it on their own. I do want to ask, what is it that you're looking to leave? I know you're looking to leave many examples, not only for your family and your kids, but for all the people you come across. What is the value you want to see left here with your impact?
I think the biggest impact if I could make is show people to believe in themselves. Like, if someone makes money in options, it's them. It's, if anytime they say thank you, Mo, I always say it's all you. You're the one that pressed the button to buy. You're the one who pressed the button to sell. You chose to show up on this training. You chose to show up on Sundays. So that's the biggest impact. Change the mindset that you need to give your hours to earn money. And note that I'm not against jobs. I think they're great. If you feel like you're happy, you found your purpose, do them. Like, I'm not hating, but I think a lot of people do not trust their potential and often are relying on external factors for validation. So if I could do this for even one person, that's my goal, where they can feel like it's me. I am doing it. No one is paying me salary. It's me. I'm creating value, which is why I'm getting what I getting. So that's the impact I want to leave.
Nice. Perfect. Please let people know where they can find you, your education, your course, everything. Please let people know where they can find you so they can keep up to date. And of course, you're always providing value. So thank you again.
No problem. So for Instagram, you can find me on OTB Shark Mo. For Twitter, you can find me on OTB Shark Mo as well. And then for on YouTube, I also host on the Come Up series, the Money Market Show with Mark and Mo. So feel free to tune that out. And that's basically it.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. This was a good one. I know we got into many topics that are probably the opposite of what people were expecting when it comes to trading, but I do want to thank you for all the value and everything. And this was episode 13. Thank you so much.